Welcome, everybody. My name is Thamora Fishel. I'm the Associate Director here at the Southeast Asia Program, and it is our great pleasure to welcome you here today, both in person and on Zoom. We have quite a few people joining us on Zoom. I'm going to be co-moderating along with Professor Magnus Fischkeha, who's in the Anthropology Department here at Cornell. So I'm going to hand it over to him to just make a few welcoming remarks, and then we'll launch right into the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Tamara. And I want to repeat the welcome to everyone to this event, both the audience online and the audience here in this room, and especially our panelists. You're very much welcome. Thank you for coming. This event is entitled Imagining a New Myanmar, the Views of Ethnic Minority Groups. And this is one event of many that we have held in the past here at Cornell University as a hub of Myanmar studies and Southeast Asian studies with our Southeast Asia program, which is hosting this event. It's especially pertinent, of course, to have this event right now with the very urgent situation unfolding in Myanmar that we will hear more about today. Thanks to our panelists and to our audience members. I just wanted to add by also saying that our Southeast Asia program has a bulletin that appears biannually, and it's available outside here. You can find lots to read about the Southeast Asia and Myanmar related events at Cornell. It's free, so please take one. If you look up the Spring 23 issue, which is also out there, you'll find a special article about the situation in Rakhine State, for example. One example of the contents that you'll find. So with that, once again, welcome, and let's get started with the event.
Great. So we're going to start with our panelists who are in Southeast Asia because it is very late for them. And thank you so much, panelists, for staying up late to talk with us. I would first like to ask U Kun Sai to begin talking, and we'll pin you so that we can see you big here on the screen. And if anyone is having trouble with the audio online, please put it in the chat and we'll keep working on it. This is a brand new audio system for us. And so we're still becoming familiar with Zooming from the audio system. Okay, go ahead. Let's just make sure we can hear you.
Can I start now?
We're not getting audio. Let me just try one more thing. Okay, try now and see if we can hear you.
Good afternoon to you all. And good morning to myself, though I don't suppose it will be too long. Because I will be returning to bed as soon as possible. Can we properly start now? Can you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, as one participant, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. I was muted, but you're loud and clear. We're going to ask all of the participants to begin by just talking a little bit about how people in the various ethnic minority groups imagine what a new Myanmar should look like. That's the theme of our panel. And so we're going to ask everyone to address that when they begin speaking. And then once you're done kind of talking about how the ethnic group that you're most familiar with and part of imagines a new Myanmar, we're going to ask you to talk a little bit about the current challenges facing each group and sort of moving towards that potential future. Please go ahead if you would like to answer about how your group imagines a new Myanmar. What would you like to see in the future? Kun Sai, yes, please start.
Yeah,
we can
start
hear
with
you fine.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon again. When I think of what should a new Myanmar look like, I can only think of the two countries I have lived, seen, and liked, and try to put them together. The first one is, or was, the Federated Shan States, as my homeland Shan State was known from 1922 to 1948, before it joined with other states to form an independent union. During those 26 years, it was like the rest of Burma, a British colony. But unlike mainland Burma, it was not under direct rule. In view of the fact that it had been a tributary state to the Burmese kingdom, rather than under direct Burmese rule, the British had decided to continue with the tradition of ruling through leaders chosen by their own people. One of the problems which originated then, but need not be elaborated here, was the fact that the Burmese preference for the unitary system seemed to have been acquired through the 100-plus-year-long experience of living under British direct rule. While the Shan's yen for the federal system came from several hundred years of indirect rule, which was later improved by the British introduction of federalism. There were 33, later 34 princely states in the Federated Shan States, most of them governed by the Shan princes. But there were also more than 10 principalities governed by non-Shans, such as Wa, Palong, now known as Ta'ang, Danu, Pa'o, and Gokang. And although it ceased to be called a federation after independence, the system continued until 1959, when the Burmese military forced them to relinquish their traditional powers. I was fortunate enough to be born in one of the non-Shan states, Trong Bang, where the Ta'ang were and still are the majority. And our ruling prince was the much respected Ta'ang by the name of Khun Pan Singh, who became the first president of the independent Federated Shan States, renamed the United Shan States after rebelling against the British in 1947. There were 3 sub-states in Trong Bang, and one was Mung Ngo, where I hail from, and where the Shans were the majority. According to my adult relatives, the prince has practiced the system of least government. And the Shan subjects were concerned mostly only with the annual taxation. Otherwise, they were left alone to look after their own affairs. In a way, we have to thank the British colonialists, whatever their faults were, for this happy way of life compared to today's. To begin with, the British had issued a sanat, the Indian word for deed of confirmation, to each ruling prince, which among others said, "You shall administer the territory according to the custom of the country. You shall recognize the rights of the people and continue them in the same. And on no account shall you oppress them or suffer them in any way to be oppressed." When I read that, how I wish today's rulers of Shan State are given the same instruction. It could have helped reduce, if not end, the overwhelming human rights violations. In addition, in 1902, the British set up a school for children of the ruling princes. The emphasis there was more than academic. They tried to imbue future Shan rulers with discipline and corrective training. And our Ta'ang prince had attended the school for 10 years, from 1906 to 1916. And he became one of the finest, if not the finest, princes. The people of Tongbang, including us Shans, had adored him and were proud to be citizens of the state. The other country is Switzerland. In 2016, I was one of the guests at Merden, a town in Freiburg, one of the 26 cantons in Switzerland. Though synonymous with states in other countries, I found out that they were only township size compared to today's Shan state, which has 55 of them. Though township size, I learned each of them is endowed with the following rights, among others. All rights that are not vested in the federal constitution. Management of its own healthcare, welfare, law enforcement, public education, taxation, and others. Own constitution and laws, own legislature, which comes from the electoral system of proportional representation, so that the German minority were not left out. And last but not least, own government. What was more, I was impressed by what I saw and heard in Merden, a German majority town, 75% German speakers, in the French majority canton, not unlike my former hometown in the state of Tongbang. Here's a sample. We were guided to a primary school where we were greeted by two head mistresses, one German and one French. Then we were allowed to visit the classrooms. The one I was in was German 6th grade. A student who had started learning English explained to me that we started school with our own mother tongue. But when we got to 3rd grade, we were given a choice among the other 3 national languages. Naturally, we chose French. Last year at 5th grade, we were asked what foreign languages we wanted to learn, and we pick up English. So you have to learn 3 languages at school, I asked him. And he said, yes. More things can be said about the local government system in Switzerland. My thought then and now was how the Shan state can be a mixture of the old federated Shan states and the Swiss Freiburg, which could be expanded into a whole union. For instance, in Zagain region, there is a large section where the majority are Shans. They can follow the same pattern. And it would be a model union for other countries like us too. I want to end this clumsy presentation with a quote, my favorite quote of the late US Senator, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. The challenge is how to make the world safe for and from ethnicity. Please allow me to repeat this. The challenge is how to make the world safe for and from ethnicity. I'm sure with firm commitment to democracy, federalism, and above all, human rights, we can have a new Myanmar, likely in another name, that all of us can be proud of being its citizens. Thank you very much for bearing with me.
Thank you for those wonderful remarks on the Shan perspective. We're now going to turn to a Kachin perspective, and I'm hoping I can find on the Zoom somewhere Moone Lee's screen. Let's see. There you are, wonderful. So welcome. We wish that you and U Khonsai could be here in person. The flowers are blooming here in Ithaca. It's a very rare sunny day, but we're so delighted you could make it and stay up late with us tonight. So I would like to ask you the same question that we started with, which is, how do the Kachin imagine a new Myanmar? And what are the challenges in the way of reaching that potential future?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. It's loud and clear.
Thank you so much for giving a chance. This is a very important an opportunity for sharing about the current political situation that's related to all of the ethnic minority, the situation, and also can share about my thoughts on our, the Kachin and also part of this the country. So then, my name is Moone Lee again. So I'm currently working for Women Leagues of Burma. That is comprised with the 12 women's organization that is from the different ethnic minority groups and different the background. So SWLB is also focusedly working to fight for the federal democracy and also the gender equality and promoting the women's rights. So that is very unique of our movement for forming and transforming the genuine federal democracy in the country. So I am part of the Kachin nationality. So that's why I would like to share a little bit about the background history of the how start the revolution for freedoms and self-determination as the Kachin people. So Kachin people is voluntarily involved to form these unions of Burma based upon on the Panglong agreements. So that is a very important agreement we can also call the very first the peace agreement for, the Union of Burma. So because of the, unfair policy and also control by the central Burmese governments and influencing to everything to the other ethnic state, including the Kachin state, and everything is controlled by the central government. So they are never follow to the first, the Panglong Agreement, and also they would like to influencing as a Burmalization. So that's why Kachin people is that holding the arm for fight for their, the self-determination, ethnic equality, and also freedom for the people, since 1961. So then we can say that Kachin people is really want to the peace, justice, and also equality. So that's why we are fighting for this, the freedoms in the country. So until now, we are, strongly and actively involved in this revolution. So at the same time, here I really want to say about I'm not a part of the KIA, but I'm the Kachin people. So that's why I would like to share that's very based on my opinions and my thoughts and my knowledge and also my information. So then currently there is a very important thing is now civilians is very united, not only among the non-Burman ethnic nationality, but also, the before is all of our, the non-Burman ethnic nationality are our goal of the political goal is well the same, like federal democracy and for the self-determination. But now all of the civilians, the people from Burma is the same goal and we're united, not only in the the ethnic armed groups, but also civilians and also CSO and all of the women's group are very united to fight for this the change for the system. So what we really want to see in the future of Burma is we are really want the equality. Equality is very important for the justice and also to genuine peace in the country. So that's why as our the women group is also continually and strongly and actively fight for these things, justice and peace is really important. So that's why if we cannot transform the federal democracy, we hope that we cannot get the peace in the future. And also at the same time as our women's group SWLB is also fight for the patriarchy. That is also the impact of this patriarchy is also more power, the military power or all kinds of the dictatorship, appear and increasing in the country and also the globally or regionally like that. So that's why that is also important thing that what we are fighting for that. So as our Kachin people is also more focused for the equality. So that's why in our Kachin area is also mainly we are discussing when we are the politic or important issue to transforming this the system changing in the country. We also more focused for the supporting and the minority right and also indigenous right and also all kind of that is very related to the democracy system. So that's why only we are fighting for democracy is not enough in for our country. So that's why federal democracy is very important for the our future Burma. So for the Kachin people, according to the Panglong Agreement, they have their own, to their political will and also the goal for the Kachin people. especially the politically, they are, they really want the freedom and self-determination. So if they are not, guaranteed to have this kind of the equality, freedoms, and no self-determination, will be continue fight for this kind of the revolution. Will be, we cannot end this kind of the armed conflict or armed revolutions. So that's why here only I want to share the first things this, or if you have any question, I can share more about my thoughts. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Mun Lee, for those great comments. So we're going to do the following. We're going to take the questions that came in via email in advance, and also any questions from you for our first two speakers. That way they can go to bed, since it is quite late there. And then we will take a very short break. I realized I was so excited to get the panel started that I called you all up, and you probably would see better from over there. So if you would like to switch positions, it's fine. But if you're comfortable with your water, you can stay where you are. But thank you again for those comments. And Professor Fiskeho will be asking some of the questions that came in on email. And if you just turn that on, you can stay right where you are. And then maybe I'll let him ask the first question of our two first presenters. And then I have a microphone for any questions from the live audience here in Ithaca. So Magnus, could you go ahead, and we'll see if we can get both of the first two speakers up on the screen. But we can hear you either way if you're unmuted.
So the questions that have come in, they include for U Kwen Sai, do you think Myanmar would be balkanized? Is there a risk that Myanmar will end up balkanized? Second question is about the political future. This question says, many ethnic armed groups in Shan State are quite autocratic. The anti-military resistance and many ethnic revolutionary groups are, on the other hand, calling for democracy and federalism. Do you think democratic and undemocratic groups can reconcile their differences? And maybe you can answer those two, and then there's one more after that.
Thank you very much for the questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Though it won't be easy, of course. There is the likelihood of the Shan State and the whole union becoming balkanized if we are going to allow it to happen. However, if we are not going to allow it to happen, as our neighbors, Thailand, India, and China, are not willing to allow it to happen, we will need to try very hard. One thing we can do is what the British had tried to do after World War II. The non-Burman areas were divided into two scheduled areas. Scheduled areas, part one included Shan State, the Kachin Hills, Chin Hills, and others, which were regarded as backward, not politically developed. And then later we have Karen, which were regarded as more developed. Also the Mon and Rakhine too at that time. The aim was to develop scheduled areas part 1 so that it could join part 2. And then later, the ministerial Burma. We can follow the same way, no? Although it wasn't quite successful in those days because I haven't learned anything about the criteria, how part 1 can become part 2 and part 2 can become part of the ministerial Burma. With us, we should set up criteria for all these areas and states or wannabe states to have. They should be qualified. If they are qualified, then they become they become how would you say a full-fledged local government areas. Then from then on they can become states too. In this way, maybe we will be able to prevent balkanization. However, there is another problem, of course, like you have just mentioned. We are talking about democracy, but many of us are practicing autocracy. That one we will need to discuss not only among ourselves, but also agree that autocracy is one we cannot accept. With commitment to democracy, federalism, and human rights, I think we will be able to overcome them. And what's the next question?
The next question is about the different actors currently in Sun State. What do you think that they will do? Will some of them fight against each other, attempting to expand their control? For example, the TNLA, the KIA, the TNLA, and the SPP. What will the Restoration Council of Sun State do? Will they break off their engagement with the military? And will the Wa and the Kokang areas perhaps break off and be a part of China?
I'm sure that's what they want to do and become. And there is a movement that is trying to prevent it from happening. Many of the elders of Shan State, both Shan and non-Shan alike, are trying to prevent this They are planning to form what they call a Shan State Council of Elders. And I'm supporting them with the vision of peaceful coexistence. And the mission that they have set is a modern and upgraded federated Shan state. I hope they are in time. If they can be in time, then we will be able to bring peace and harmony to this squabbling country.
And there was also a question of whether the Shan people want independence. It seems you're suggesting that the option of a upgraded democratic federation is the way to go. But the question was, do Shan people want independence?
Of course, they are a minority that want independence. But most of us, including myself, think that a federated Shan state in a federated Burma will be more of a boom to us than an independent Shan state.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
We have questions from the audience. If you feel comfortable, since our speakers won't be able to meet with you in person, feel free to introduce yourself very briefly when you ask your question.
Thank you, Thamora. I have a question for U Kunsai. My name is Drake Awila. I'm going to be a master's student at Cornell in the fall, and I used to work for Frontier Myanmar. I was curious to ask why you think the restoration of Council of Shan State began or renewed conscription in February this year. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I won't be able to answer that. I'm sorry.
Then maybe more broadly, what do you see RCSS's position as right now, especially given how much of Northern Shan State has been occupied by non-Shan armed groups? And do you think that RCSS has any opinions or views towards that situation?
According to my best knowledge, the RCSS don't like what's happening in Northern Shan State. In fact, it was one of the reasons that it had marched its troops to the north after 2006. But after 2015, when it signed the nationwide ceasefire agreement, it was attacked, and then later on, supported by the big brother country, they were pushed down to the south. I think they still want to go back, but not this way. They have, in fact, called for peaceful resolution of all the problems so that we can reestablish a federated Shan state. They said that we have been a federation before, we can do it again. I hope both it and the Shan State Progress Party, together with the biggest Shan party, Shan Nationalities League for Democracy, are successful in the quest.
Thank you. Are there more questions from the audience, or we're also trying to see if we can get Moon-Ne Lee back on the screen to answer some questions? But if anyone has a question ready, I can give you the microphone. Moon-Ne Lee, are you there? Can Professor Fiskeho ask you some questions?
Oh, yeah. There was also a question in the chat
I'll read that after you ask her.
after. Okay.
I'll zoom out so she can see.
All right. Thank you. I also have some questions that we have received. And beginning again with the same question, do the Kachin people want independence or a federal system? And is the KIO itself fighting for independence or for what?
The question is very good. So yeah, Kachin Independent Organization is fighting for independence that I already mentioned, freedom and equality and self-determination. That is very important for fighting, not only for Kachin people, but also the people who living in the, the country. So including, especially in the Kachin areas. So then, but because of the military dictatorship or the Burmalization and centralization, we are continue fight for that. Since we gained independence 1948 until now, we can't say we already independent, even though we gained the independence from the the British colony. But until now, we have to fight for our right and freedoms and also equality. So that's why, yeah, we are sure that we are fight for the independence. So as the Kachin people is, I already mentioned that voluntarily involved into form the Union of Burma. So that means that we are really want to, union's country and also, form this with the equal right and also forming this kind of the union country. So that's why it is very clear that we really want the federal system. So even though in the Kachin area, especially in the Kachin state, it's all the other non-Kachin people is living there. So that's why the Kachin people is not only fight for the Kachin people, but also for the people. The current revolution is also very clear that the Kachin, especially KIO, KIA is strongly, support to all of the groups, the stakeholders, by the supporting all kinds of the important things for our revolution. So that's why it is very clear that we want really independent in the country. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Continuing from these questions that we have received, Kachin accounts for less than 50% of the total population of Kachin state. Is it possible communal problems could arise between different ethnic communities of Kachin state? And will the KIO and other Kachin organizations fight for a political system that mainly favors Kachin people or a system that guarantees equality, justice, and liberty for all residents of Kachin state, regardless of their ethnic background?
Yeah, for the question, thank you so much. I already mentioned my previous answer. So the Kachin people, as you know, the Kachin people, we are also living in the Kachin state and also in Northern Shan state. So because of our the fighting against the injustice or for fight for the equality, in Shan state also we have the Kachin sub-state. Because of that is, we are voluntarily and we are fight for not only for Kachin but also for the people who living in the area. So it is very sure that we can say that the Kachin people is not for the Kachin, only Kachin. So that's why we are strongly and actively, fight against for justice and peace in the country, not only in the Kachin area, but also the whole, Union of Burma. So that's why when, they are among our women's group and also the Kachin people, when we are discussed about the politics or the democracy or federal, something like that, we also based upon on the federal system. Even though in the Kachin area, we also have to start and initiate as a federal system, not only not just for the democracy. Democracy means that all of the majority will be influencing to the non-majority or minority or something like that. So that's why all of the people are very focused and discuss on this equality and supporting and promoting the right all of the people, civilian rights or indigenous or very based on the promoting the right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
And
much.
there was a question specifically about, do you think Kachin people want to integrate that Kachin area in the northern Shan state into a Kachin state? That's very specific. And the last question is, the KIO did not sign the agreement signed by other organizations with the National Unity Government. What does this indicate about KIO's relationship or whether it's planning to work with the National Unity Government? Thank you.
Yeah. So before I mentioned that the Kachin people is living in the border of the Kachin state and northern Shan state. So that's why the Kachin and the current our fighting is also the we call the Kachin area is border of the Kachin state and northern Shan state. So since long time we are living together, we are live in the northern Shan state. We are different with the other the ethnic nationality, including Shan, already, Ajahn Kinsai already sharing about the federal as a federal system in the northern Shan state or in Shan state. So that's why as the Kachin people is part of this, the federal Shan state. So on other hands, the currently the political consultation or some kind of the leading for the Kachin political is leading by the Kachin interim political consultative team, KPIC, we call it KPIC. So that's why directly, as the KPIC is also directly engaged with all of the stakeholder for, the discussion or consultation for the political situation, every step or every level. So yeah, for the question for related to the NUG, actually this, it is not true like KIO not signing NUG or something like that. Actually, NUG have no signatory or, no need to signing, with the NUG actually, because NUG is formed by the NUCC, based on the NUCC is already approved to form this NUG. So that's why the one of the federal charter, we have the federal charter. So that's why in that federal charter, there is a two part. The one part, part one is really, we strongly agree on that because this is really based on the Panglong agreements and very based saying about the ethnic equality and federalism. So, but part two is a little bit problem, it means that problem mean that it is some kind of more related to the current and the NUG structure, or it is a little bit similar to the 2008 constitution or something like that, we feel that. So that's why it means that Kachin, the groups are not really how can we say, the support on the part two of the federal charter, the current federal charter. It is very clear that, but the part one is very important for all of the ethnic nationality from Burma. Yes, but we don't need to side with the NUG, but actually in the reality is also the Kachin people is strongly and actively support all of the stakeholders who are really involved in this current revolution, including NUG or CRPH or the other ethnic, the arms groups. This kind of the how can we say that unity or united among the stakeholder is also continue. Yes, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Are there questions here in the local audience? Anyone would like the mic? Okay, there was one that came in online that I will read to you because it might be very small on your screen. And you may have already answered it in your last response, but let me just ask it in case there's anything you would like to add. The questioner says, can I know your opinion about the tense relations between the KIO/A and the PSLF/TNLA? How can the problem be solved? So again, similar kind of question, but more focused a bit on the armed forces.
Yeah, my opinions. Yeah, before after this, after most of the ERO signing the NCA process, including KIO, KIA, and the other ERO are forming as a Northern Alliance. We also call the Seven Star. So at that time, they are also start another alternative the platform for the similar to the NCA, because before the NCA is more controlled by the military. So that's why we don't like on this platform. So that's why Seven Star is also initiate this kind of the platform, alternative platform. So at that time, they are very, they have their, but actually I am not part of the KIO, but according to my information, my knowledge. So they are continue, the regular meeting among this Seven Star. But now after this, the military attempt coup happened since 2021. They are also separately because three ERO are continue, the together operation in the northern Shan State, but the KIO, KIA is separately their own strategy, and their policy will be a little bit different with the other the ERO who are based in the northern Shan. So something like that, that is just I can share only that.
Thank you so much. Unless there are questions from the local audience, we have one last question for U Kunsai if he's still with us. He's not with us. Okay. So that concludes the first part of our panel. I'm going to try to set up some fans in here because I'm hot. I don't know about you. But please get something cold to drink and then take your seats again as quickly as possible so that we can have as much time as possible with our in-person panelists. Those of you who are on Zoom, please still stick with us. You'll be able to listen to the wonderful panelists who are here in Ithaca.
And thank you again to Moon Nai Lee.
So our next two presenters are Ong Jamo, who will be talking about the Rohingya perspective, and Evelyn Lin, who will be talking about both Karen and Kachin ethnic groups, but I think especially Kachin, yeah? Or Karenni, this is why the questions aren't worth following, Karenni. And she actually brought amazing Karenni sausage with her when she came up last night, so I should remember that. So the questions we're going to start with are exactly the same as with the first two panelists, which is when you think from a Karenni and a Rohingya perspective, how do you imagine a new Myanmar? What do you want the future to hold? And what are the challenges to getting there? And if the rest of the panel wants to sit in the audience, it's okay. Do you want to sit there where you can see or no? Whatever you want to sit. Okay, great. So to have your microphones on, just press down until the green light turns on.
I should start.
So yes, we're going to start in the order they're on my piece of paper with Angjo Mo.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a privilege and honor to be between two powerful voices from two different ethnic groups, most importantly, an inspiring women leaders. And of course, Siazo, inspiring work on the religious freedom in Myanmar. My name is Aung Chomu. I am the Deputy Minister of Human Rights at the National Unity Government and the first Rohingya to be back to the cabinet since 1962. We have the political rights that we supposed to be getting has been taken away, and first Muslim as well, honorably to be back to the politics since 1962. So the current, I will be talking not only from the Rohingya perspective, but also from Muslim perspective and other ethnic religious minorities perspective. What a future Myanmar look like. I think the previous speakers highlight very profoundly what a preferred future look like for each of us, all of us, both individually and collectively. And in a nutshell, what we want is an inclusive federal democracy where everyone live peacefully, get what they deserve from a justice perspective for the atrocities and crimes that committed against most of the people in Myanmar, and most importantly, the self-determined future. That these are the terms that we'll be repeatedly hearing, and we have heard in the previous one previous speaker was speaking. Today we are in a very volatile crossroad in Myanmar. While I'm saying that, there are specific reasons. If you look last 70 years, often international community, scholars, academic, writers, write Myanmar has been in the longest civil war in the world. In fact, Myanmar has not been in the civil war. Ethnic minorities has been fighting for equality, for the dignity that they deserve, to shape the present and future that they think is the best for them. And of course, the 2021 attempted coup offer a new dynamic and a new landscape where larger Bamar community came to understand to somewhat level what last 70 years the ethnic minorities are fighting for. And the current Spring Revolution, we have been more than 300 and plus days, more than 3 years, in a unified collective fight to end the dictatorship in Myanmar once and for all, which again, the ethnic minority, like my brothers and sisters from Karani, from Karen and from Kachin, all over the world, people are fighting for. And I think in this aspect of coming together, it's a turbulence journey for everyone. It's a roller coaster. It's a bumpy journey, and we have been resilient, and we have been determined to be where we are today, to shake the dictatorship and an institution that has been built by sucking the blood of the country for the last 70 years. And the amount of progress that we have made as of today, Krani Executive Council is a living example of being able to govern, to build something that's concrete on the principle and values that we all believe. And so many other examples across the country. And in this journey, we did not get the support from international community that we deserve. We were solely in this journey, if not solely, mostly with the support from our brothers and sisters, Burmese diaspora across the world. And the journey has not been, again, very easy. And the determination is so inspiring that the velocity and momentum hasn't went on these revolutions. In a nutshell, it is a history that's not yet a history we are writing. And this history need to be the right version of the history that everyone is included, and the mistake, both by choice and by chance, that we have made in the past cannot be repeated. And this should be something, the history that going to be in the textbook or whatever it is being written should be an inspiring one for upcoming generations to maintain the democracy, freedom, and dignity for all. So when it's come to the Rohingya and other religious minority, Rohingya has been one of the most prosecuted minority since the first coup took place in 1962. The right of political right, social right, economical right has been taken away in a state-sponsored process with intention to destruct culture, heritage, and every aspect of life, which led to be determinations of genocide by the United States and other countries around the world. And we are facing today a case at the International Court of Justice for the atrocity crimes that's being committed against the Rohingya for so long. So in these spring revolutions, of course, the Rohingya community, those who have worked in Rakhine State know, particularly my colleague, Dr. Chow In Lang, who has tremendous experience in interacting with various communities in Rakhine State, know the intensity of the human rights violations against the Rohingya people. Even you need to report the number of chicken that you have at home as a declarations of your property. If you're killing one, you have to go and report number of cattle that you have. If you have 5 family members at home, every quarter of the year, you need to be tagged with the number in your neck, taken the photograph by the government so that they can level you if you are not present on the ground as illegal, and you have to run away either to Bangladesh or wherever you can be run away. Freedom of movement has been taken away since 1992. You can't move from one place to another. The religious infrastructure, building mosque, you were not allowed to build or even nail falling apart part of religious infrastructure. Those were controlled by taking 360-degree pictures. If you nail on the zinc sheet that's falling of a religious heritage, you are going to be going to jail for 7 years. These are some of the examples of the atrocities crime that are being committed against Rohingya. But of course, 2017 has been the peak of those crimes against humanity or genocide, and 1 million people being pushed away from Rakhine State to neighboring Bangladesh. And most of the people in Myanmar back in 2017 were sort of either they did not have sufficient information, or they were an ideal or neutral status to be saying anything when these shameful atrocities took place. But also it has been used for political reason to be believing on the perceptions based on the wrong information or misinformation. That the reality that they have believed, most of the people in Myanmar, was based on the wrong perception that they had, because that people did not have the access to go and look or will to go there, nor larger Rohingya community could come and explain to the larger people, because the freedom of expression was not there. Spring Revolution brought us a new dynamic when the similar atrocity, perhaps not the same intensity or gravity, to the larger people in Myanmar, push larger Burmese people to a consciousness. What Rohingya people were saying in 2017 is exactly or more or less similar what is happening to larger Burmese people. Were ethnic, other ethnic were saying the whole village being burned on, being raped, are not fake stories. These are stories that we are facing today. So larger Burmese, despite the cost that we have paid for this Spring Revolution, as a nation as a whole, we came to get a true story by, I mean, of course, when we have scar, we know the pain of a wound, how bleedy it could be. So larger Burmese people came to stand with sympathy and to stand firmly on the principality of the democracy, human rights that we are preaching among our people. And we are asking to support us to international community. So this is again out of the lost tremendously that we have been paying. There were apologies by some young people. There were also some ministers, and those had made individual level apology as a part of reparations and transitional justice that need to be taken in place to compensate what happened to the Rohingya and other people, but it's not yet enough. The future Myanmar that we would like to see should be a context where that perpetrators that have enjoyed the cycle of impunity for the last 70 years need to be punished at all costs. The culture need to be ended, and the no repeating. We are not looking into a regime change. We are looking into a system change where you can be a Kachin, you can be president. You can be a Christian. If you have capability to lead us, you can lead the nation. You can be prime minister. You can be Quran, you can be prime minister. That's what Burmese people as at large deserve, given the aspect of the diversity that we have. We are very diverse, but how to utilize that diversity as a source of strength rather than a cause for fighting is a game that we often missed, and the junta has been capable of utilizing that card. The difference among us has been very well utilized to create tension, to create us versus them mentality, and then so that they can hold the power. But once again, a Spring Revolution has pushed us to a consciousness status to understand this same junta has been consistent over the last 70 years, but the victims differ. The perpetrators remain the same. Today it's Karan, next day it could be Karani, next day it could be Rohingya, next day it could be Rakhine or who. So over a period of time, the victim change, the perpetrators remain unpunished, the same one, same institution, even though sometimes the people change. And I think in new Burma that we all expect, new Myanmar, whatever name that we all come to agree to give it, need to be based on the principle of humanity, equality, justice, peace for all, that everyone, regardless of their faith or the way that we look like, the way the identity that we are, should not determine who we are. It should be your ability, your capability to lead the nations, contribute to this nation to make a better nation, secure nation for everyone. So that's what it needs to be. Amid that, Rohingya has been part of Myanmar before Myanmar became Myanmar. There are many scholarly articles, research, and books that's written by historians. And often in contexts where the literacy index rate is low, history books or historical articles or knowledge could be challenged. But we all do have critical thinking skills, common sense to question these facts and figures, how realistic, how true that could be. Are we able to apply those knowledge that has been created prior in this given context? We can take the knowledge that has been created with intention to make us worse, because the intentions of existence of this knowledge should be to make a better present, brighter future. That's what it's supposed to be. If we are entering to a debate where who come first to Myanmar, we will never end up. We can never be ending up to win-win solutions. What overall we need is inclusions of everyone, both by functions and number, and Rohingya people deserve equality and justice. And in a new Myanmar, like me, I am among 33 top leaders of the government. It has never been the case. And this should not be a token for this vulnerable movement. It should be a system that's designed to be ensuring the inclusions of religious and ethnic minority, women's, and as well as other religious groups like Chin, for example, has been tremendously suffering. The junta targeted them, destroying their heritage, religious heritage, which has been a profound identity to let them know the Chin people, Karenni people existed, but there for 500-600 years. The intention was to destroy. So I think we will have to hold our hands very strong to ensure to design by our own hand what the present look like, what the future that we want to live for others and us. So I end there. I'm really looking forward for the questions that will be popping up. Thank you so much.
So our next speaker is Evelyn Lin. Can we get her slides up on the screen? Great. Okay, it's looking good in here. Does that look okay? And Evelyn will be sharing the Karenni perspective. Again, how do Karenni that you work with and speak with imagine a future Myanmar or Burma? What would they like it to look like, and what are the challenges that we're facing at the moment?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today, here or online. So we need all the support. Yeah. So thanks again for creating that opportunity to share about our struggle, our vision that we are looking for. So this event is very important for us. So Karenni, as a Karenni, I would like to introduce myself to you. I'm the vice chairperson of Karenni State Consultative Council, which is formed after the coup with the inclusive institutions in Karenni to be able to lead the people in Karenni. And then I'm a member of the Karenni State Interim Parliament, as I was elected as an MP for the State Assembly. So I'm very pleased to be here with you all. So I would like to focus about the Karenni issue, that how we dream for the whole country. Karenni is really fighting for the future of very united democratic federal democracy country. That future is very great cost. Karenni has been invested a lot for that great future. According to the response of the military, thousands of people have invested their life, especially young people between 20 and 35. More than 1,000 people have been killed by the military. So yeah, I would like to share about the Karenni situation. So Karenni is really, focusing on the three, vision. One, reject military rule, defend ourselves. From the 2021 to 2023, we have more than 700 times of airstrike. So right now, more than 1,000 times of airstrike in Karenni State. So and another preparation is we set up our own government, even though we are fighting very seriously. So bottom-up federalism is very important. You may be, nervous or confusing how the Bamar federalism come up with a lot of crisis, but Karenni believe that we will set up the federalism in the ground level, on the ground level. It will strengthen the whole country's federalism. So we have started since the village and village tract level. We have administration institutions, so from such kind of setting up our own government is installing right now. And then number 3, help the people and build the institutions. We are giving the essential services, even though we are not perfect, the government setup, but we try our best to help the people. Next slide. So this is the background information of Kahin state. So Kahin is the smallest state in Burma, you know. Next slide. Where is it? Yeah, thank you. So Kahin is the smallest state in Burma, in which border with Thailand, you know. So we have a total population with 300,000 people in Kahin state. It's a little bit complicated because Kahin, the historical name, Kahin was, you know, renamed in 1952 to Kahin, and then the boundary was also changed. Now, some of the Kahin people were in other states like Karin and Shan. So we were calling back the historical name and boundary from the previous governments. You know, we didn't have a chance to call back our original name Kahin, but now after the abolishment of 2008 Constitution, now we are able to call ourselves Kahin. So right now, since the coup started, as you already know, the numbers shown, you know, from the defense forces, we have more than 800 young people died from the fighting on the front line, you know. Almost 200 young people are arrested until now, you know. So every day, IDP's number of internet displaced people are increasing. You know, more than half of the population became the IDP at the moment. You know, so every day, no days without fighting or bombing. You know, so Kahin has fighting every day, we can imagine, you know. So, and then we are 3 years, a lot of the people are facing about the scarcity of water, food, shelter, you know. So this is our concern, that the challenges that we are having. Next slide. So this is what we have, the nationwide political roadmap for change that Kahin is practicing. You know, one thing is we are guiding in the union level is FDC, Federal Democracy Charter. It is one of the tools that gathering all the states and division together in the union level. So this is the union level guidance. We believe that Kahin is following the Federal Democracy Charter. In the state level, we have the interim arrangement, a kind of constitutional arrangement. It's not perfect, but this is described how to lead the people in Kahin by the inclusive and then multiple leadership, you know. So, and then we really cooperate with the union level. So we have 4 representatives to NUG, and then 3 representatives to NUCC. So with the other stations, working committee, we strongly coordinate with the union level. So in the state level, we have a political roadmap and an interim arrangement, you know, by the lead of Kahin State Consultative Council. Kahin State Consultative Council was formed right after the coup started, you know. So very collective leadership style we set up. So all the political parties in Kahin State and the ethnic armed resistance organizations, elected MPs, CSO, youth and women, very inclusive, we can say that. Kahin got the highest unity, you know, in the history, we can note it. You know, in the past, we have been fighting each other not only to the military, the dictatorship. So we had been divided and ruled, so among us, we have a lot of conflicts. So after the coup, everyone noted without the unity, without a collective leadership, we cannot defeat the regime. Regime cannot win with their weapons, advanced weapons. Regime can win if we are not united. That is what our belief. So Kahin concerned very careful about the unity. Without unity, Kahin cannot do anything. So interim arrangement is very important for Kahin to lead the people with the arrangement. So it's and then after the according to the arrangement, we had the first Congress, with all the people, most of the people in Kahin state, and we ratified the interim arrangement, and we practiced that arrangement. So according to the arrangement, we have very democratic governance structure, like executive, council, and parliament, and a judiciary. So we are practicing the federal democracy on the ground level, we can see. Next slide. So before the coup, so this is a brief information, the situation of the current state before the coup. So since 2012, we had no fighting, we can say like that. There's ceasefire and peace process happened, even though those processes were very slow, and then we could not get the political dialogue properly, but we can see that the fighting reduced a lot before the coup. The economic developed a little bit, especially the physical the development we can see, the construction, road, electricity, but we need a lot of development before the coup, but at least we saw the development of the physical construction. So, yeah, next slide. So after the coup, 3 years after the coup, the whole country, the fighting become very heavier, especially in Kahin state. According to the assessment of the INGO, even though Kahin state is the smallest, when they compare with the other states, there is 26 times more than fighting, 26 times fighting than the other areas. This is so we can see like that in Kahin too, fighting most like 90% of the geographic right now are controlled by the democratic forces, except the airstrike. Now some military base we cannot occupy it yet because their protections was quite strong. We got to know that. So some big military bases we cannot take it back yet. And then except the airstrike, we can say that more than 90% of the population are totally liberated, except the airstrike. It's not easy to say that we are liberated because airstrike can happen anytime. So like people are hiding in the jungle, stay hiding in the jungle. They are, going to the bunker when they hear the sound of airplane. It's their biggest challenge, for during the revolution. So we have the calculation and assessment that one of our defense force died, there will be 10 the dictatorships, the military will die 10%, and then there will be 1 civilian, according to the experience and the evidence we got. So, as you already know that there are more than 800 our young people dying on the front line. So we can assume that around 900 civilians were killed and died after the coup within the 3 years. And then around 8,000 the military troops, died in Kahin, according to the evidence of the gun we got from the fighting. So it's not easy to accept the loss of our young people and innocent people in Kahin. But we can see that how much resilience the Kahin have right now. We said that this is our last revolution because it has been so many decades we were under the dictatorship. Our life were much worse than that international community didn't know that. Even the people in Central Burma didn't know how Kahin was suffering under the dictatorship. Right now, many people around the country got to know each other, how they have been suffering, and they can share. So, yeah. So, and then the area we can see the SAC control area and the our people group control area. Two types of areas we can see. But according to the as I said that more than 90% of the geographies are under the civilian control. Yeah. So. We trying to have the Kahin government to provide the security and services, including health and education. So, yeah. So next slide. So this is the structure of the Kahin state government. Now we have KSCC, Kahin State Consultative Council, and then by the lead of KSCC. We prepared the interim arrangement and we had conference to ratify the interim arrangement. So we have done all the steps of the political roadmap, and now we have the 3 branches of the Kahin governance institution, interim executive council, and in the middle it is called the interim parliament, and then judicial branch. So all are functioning at the moment, especially at the ground level. So this is the design of the government, so very collective leadership, we shape it because we have multiple and a very diverse community in Kahin. Kahin is not the tribe-based state. Kahin is the state includes multiple tribes. We really care about the minority and minority. So in Kahin, there are a lot of minority. Bamar also one of the minority in Kahin. So we really concern their voices to be in the policy making and governance. So even in the government structure, we do not call ourselves like a government ministry during the like a revolution period. We just call the departments or something, So like we have 12 departments under the 7 leaders collective leaderships. We have 12 departments. We are giving the essential services to the people. So I prepared the structure of each department, but I'm not going to share all the departments' structure and activities, only the home affairs structure that I would like to share a little bit. Yeah, so under the KSCC, we have a home affairs department. We are running 3 offices. Oh, sorry. Yeah, next. Yeah, I forgot to tell her. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Advancing slide.
Yeah, sorry. So this is about the home affairs structure, So we are running 3 offices, one in Thailand, one in the border area, and one in the very deep in Kahin. So online connection, So Under Home Affairs, we have sub-departments of the emergency and rescues, Kahin State Police, administration, and immigration. So we have been working on that. So emergency rescues, it is taking very important responsibilities, especially in the fighting zone. They are recusing the people who are stuck in the battlefield, and then they are rescuing the forces who got wounded from the fighting. You know that, and another sub-department is the Kahin State Police. You know, it's Kahin State Police was formed with the CDMers, you know, who joined the civil disobedient movement from the police department, from the previous government. They are quite strong and active, working on the rule of law, the services for the people, you know. And then under it, we have prisons and detention rooms. So more than 500 prisoners in the prisons. We also have some challenge. You know, we really follow the international human rights law. So we have the victims of we arrested some the military soldiers from frontline, and then we provide the essential like human rights. You know, we let them connect their families, let them know that they are still alive, and we provide food. You know, so even though like we are following the international human rights laws, we face a lot of challenges, especially like providing food. Even the defense forces, we have to eat only twice per day. You know, we also have to feed the enemy. You know, twice per day. People do not want to do that, but we have to you know, control all the people who have very anger to the enemy. You know, but we still save their lives. You know, and then administration department will have like 19 townships in Kahin. So each township we will have a township department. And then immigration, it is very important in Kahin, especially during the revolution period. So many people around the country move into Kahin. So, and then we need to be able to give services to them too, and especially the migration process. And some people from Kahin, they cross border to Thailand. So this is our responsibility to have a safe life in Thailand too. We need to talk with the Thai authority too. So that sub-department is taking that responsibility. Thank you. Next slide. So let me continue with our current plan. You know, we are creating the state army. You know, as you know that before the coup, we have like 5 historical ethnic armed groups exist in Kahin. Right now, after the coup, so many like defense forces appeared. You know, Kahin led to have the people defense forces in Kahin who are from Central Burma or who are from the other states. They can come and join in Kahin, but every armed will be under the state army. So we are now yeah. More, yeah.
Next. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Ivar. Oh, confusing. Yeah, so we are trying to have the state army, and according to the political guidance of KSCC and the Federal Democracy Charter, we are trying to have the united state army. And then politically, we are on the process of writing our state constitution. the transitional constitution is drafted by Karenni State Consultative Council. So we will keep continuing those process. And then right now we depends a lot on the international community aids to be able to provide the services for the people. But it's not it's not the best way. It's not the sustainable to help our people in Karenni. So we are thinking of our own state economic system and banking system. Karenni State Development Fund banking system is considering and under the discussions. And then we will continue working with NUG, NUCC, and CRPH with especially the union level. So even though our current plans, we have a lot of challenges. So like the unity is very important. So not only the within the state level, state to state unity, we need to build up, and state to union level, we also need to build stronger. And then with the international community, we also need their concrete support, concrete action to the people in Burma fighting for the democracy. Yeah, so we believe that our future is coming soon, but we still need the international community support with the concrete action. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Nasser Ser, who's going to talk about the Karen perspective. So again, the big start-off question, but you can go into your particular perspective, is what does the future of Myanmar look like when you imagine it? And what are the challenges to getting to that future?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, it's long. First, thanks, Saya join and all organizer invite me. This is the first time that I restart to be in the panel or in the walk after deliver my new baby 3 weeks ago. So I'm very young, but I can't stay alone at home long. So that's why I agreed to come and join with this event. I also thanks all participated awake, not sleeping, even also in online. I don't know, are they sleepy or still awake? It's long discussion, and also it's really most inclusive discussion that we need to hear, and also we need to get update and view of the different perspectives. So I would like to introduce myself again. So I'm Nasser. Working with Women's League of Burma as an umbrella organization, and also my mother organization is a current women's organization. And also, I'm also represent Women's League of Burma in the NUCC as a council member, as well as also be part of the political action team in the Women's League of Burma and also Korea Women's Organization. So I will not share you the history of the current polity or current revolution or current polity struggle. I just want to answer directly of the question. We want to see the new system and new model of the Burma, because we have the long political crisis that we can repair or fix. So we must build a new system, a new model, in Burma. And the current generation want no any dictatorship, no centralization, no nationalist. All those things must be destroyed and end in these times revolutions. And that's what the new system we want. So most of the groups, even they are not coming together in a platform, but there's a common vision that they wanted to build a federal democratic union with a different strategy. So we come up with a platform, some different platform, but the main vision, the common vision is establish the federal democratic union in Burma. And that the view of the current include the other ethnic perspective. We want and we try to build a federal with the bottom-up approach, not decentralized or not, between starting with the central level and come out with the state level. So this is the main thing that ethnic, most of the ethnic have been tried bottom-up approach of the federalism. So this is the thing that I have seen, and also most of the ethnic, includes the current, have been tried. So the political struggle or any struggle that we have been tried, it's most of the need of the people in Burma, not only our own ethnic. So we have been tried for many years already. Many lives were destroyed, and many things that we have been destroyed. So that's why we want the new system and a new model to build up or to see in the future in Burma. And I would like to also share the current how they are planning and how they are struggling. Actually, in the current, we had a lot of issues. You may heard about the many messy issue, but we are still on our page to establish the federal democratic union approach. Whatever, we might need to solve many things that internally or externally with the other armed groups, current groups, or other things. But the other side also, we also developed ourselves as we want self-determination since we start the revolutions. So now current also prepare and also start their own administration in different level, as well as also we're going to through as the current state that started with the state level develop it of the state base. So this is what as the KNU also started planning and doing consultation with many different groups, as well as also their local community. So they are starting consultation to start it develop the state-based level development of their administration or everything based on the charter or based on the federal system. So this is briefly the information that I can share. And that also we current, especially the polity that lead by the KNU, they also be part of the NUCC since the NUCC started in 2021. And also they are also actively involved in the NUCC political negotiation or political dialogue in the NUCC platform, as well as also they also engage with the other alliance, getting agreement, common agreement, political agreement, and that also they going to start implement the same common, the same agreement with the other some of the ethnic armed groups as well. So this is what I have aware and knowing about the current political approach and struggles at the moment. So we as a new Myanmar or new Burma, we definitely stand on the federal democratic approach at the moment, but we don't know yet how it will come out at the end of the political change or political scenario. So we always follow up on the situation and also analyze the situation of the politics that go through in this situation, and that also the other side also prepare our own system, our own approach and development, as well as how we can come out with the new system and a new region in the country, and that also how we can come out together with the gender, equality, justice, and peace in Burma. So I would like to end here. I would like to offer more questions, and I'm willing to answer as much as I can. Thanks.
I feel like I'm learning so much. Thank you, each one of you. This is really an amazing event. And I wish that we had 2 days so that we could sort of absorb what you're saying and then have more conversations. Our last presenter, before we open it up for discussion and questions, and hopefully, there can be questions between the panelists as well as the questions that came in online and are already flooding in on the Zoom call. Our last speaker is from the Chin community, and we've already heard a little bit about the Chin in the first presentation of the panel this afternoon. We have Zo Tum Mung, who's going to talk to us about the perspective from the Chin resistance groups and Chin community. So again, the opening question is, how do the Chin imagine a new Myanmar? What would many Chin like to see? Is there cohesion in that vision or different visions? And what are the obstacles to getting to that future?
Thank you for the invitation.
Make sure this one's working.
Thank you. I think this is a really difficult question.
Not as strong.
Is it working?
Di ba labi mo?
Yeah, you can.
I don't know the blood.
It's a protest.
Yeah.
Okay,
Try.
thank
Put you in the
you.
middle.
Oh.
And then we'll test them all. Musical chairs.
I think Bibi Lamandu. Okay. I will spend only a couple of minutes. Okay. Hey, thank you, thank you. It's working. I will take a couple of minutes. I think the question is quite tough because what the new Myanmar should be like. But to me, we would like to live together peacefully. We don't want to see any persecutions. Let's respect each other in terms of culture or religion or ethnicity. So the question how? So how we live together? I think the post-conflict constitution will be a crucial one. How we're going to share power between the center and the state, or the center and the regions. How we're going to divide the centers, the power between the center and the state or the regions? How about residual power? So it is not difficult to say, oh, we would like to live together. I think so. How we're going to live together? So I think that the constitution would be crucial. And within Chin State, there are several subgroups such as Hakka, Tedim or Matupi, and I have been thinking about two models. One model is the in Mizoram State, they are called Lai Autonomous District Council or Mara Autonomous District Council. That district council is based on their distinct culture and then also distinct dialect. So within Mizoram State. And then I live in Maryland State, Howard County, where the federal has a constitution. Maryland State has its own constitution, and I live in Howard County. Howard County has our own charter, not the constitution, where we live together regardless of Asians or African American or Indians. We all live together regardless of our ethnicity or dialect or language. So I think there are two models to look at that. But our context, of course, should be different. And the Chinland Constitution 2023 was adopted already. The Chinland Constitution 2023, of course, it is the interim constitution. Article 11 and 12 of the basic principles in the constitution claim the Chin people's explicit ownership of the state's land and natural resources. I think natural resource management is quite critical in building a future union. From the Chin perspective, my perspective, I should say. So back in 1947, the Chin people signed the Panglong Agreement. And then the Chin people became one of the founding members of the union. And it is really important to note that the Panglong Agreement endorsed full autonomy in internal administration. I think that's a good principle of federalism. So for us, I mean, for me, that Panglong Agreement is still alive. Only the military regime back in 1962 abolished it. So for us, it is still alive in our heart and our mind. So how we're going to define full autonomy, I think not only in Chin State, but also in the whole country. I think, of course, there are many issues, but natural resource ownership and management will be one of the key issues. So when I was in Chiang Mai, I led a research team at Nationalities Affairs Center. We did two case studies. One is jade, okay, in Kachin State. And our team went to Hakka, okay. I look at several Hakka jades, what do we call in English, mines? Yeah, in Burmese, molu, you know. I look at several jades mines at night. And then we had another case study is natural gas. And then we went to Jiangsu, okay. And I look at the Chinese plants. And also one I saw, whether it's still there or not, a Korean company gas station there. So we came up with recommendations, and our research paper is still available. So we recommend that number one, ownership. The native people who historically resided in a state should have ownership of its natural resources, whereas Section 37 of the Union Constitution of 2008 claims ownership for the Union. Okay. Number two, management. The state or region and local government should have the rights to manage the resources in their territory. Number three, revenue sharing. I think this is quite critical. We look at the Aceh case, and then we look at other cases as well. Revenue sharing. The producing state or region should receive 70% of revenue, whereas the unions, 30% will go to the union. So 70 versus 30, and we share this report in LISA, and also with the Arakan Army leaders at that time under the leadership of Dr. Newton. So Chin State does not have currently the lucrative extraction industries on the same scale as Kachin's jade mines or the gas fields in Rakhine, but the Article 11 and 12 of the Chinland Constitution clearly claims ownership of land and natural resources. So I think this will be a critical one for the Chins to consider when we build a union. So how we're going to build this union? Division of power, and also I think I look at there's power sharing not only between the center and the state or the region. I think we have to look at power sharing within Chin states, within the region. So but again, I think, of course, we would like to live together peacefully. We have signed the Panglong agreement. But I just came back from Mizoram, India. I met with CDFs and I met with the fighters. So my thinkings have been occupied by how to defeat this tough battle. So I think that's it. Thank you.
So we thought we would start with questions from the local audience. So if anyone has questions here, I can bring the microphone around, but I really want to prioritize who's here in the room first. If you have questions for our presenters, then we also have a whole series of questions that were emailed in advance in Burmese that have been translated into English. And so then Professor Fiskeho will take one question or maybe a combination of distilled questions to ask each of the presenters in turn, and then we'll turn to some of the questions from the chat. And again, at any point, someone here in the in-person audience would like to ask a question, just please wave your hand at me so I can bring you the microphone. So does anyone here in the in-person audience have a question that they would like to ask?
I have two questions for Uang Chomo. So all now, since 2012 or even prior to that, Rohingya people have been fighting for indigenous status. In light of all the changes that have taken place in the last 3 years. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you just have to hold it right close to your mouth.
Okay, so in in light of all the changes that have taken place in the last 3 years, should we still focus on getting recognized as an indigenous group, or should we focus more on fighting for equality, justice, and liberty for all citizens of the country? So that's my first question. The name Rohingya, as we all know, is still very problematic, at least in Rakhine State. It is still very difficult for Rakhine people to accept or to recognize Rohingya. Why do you think they are so reluctant to recognize this name? My interest is Rohingyas' understanding of Rakhine's reluctance to recognize this name. So I'll start with these two.
That's for you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's great question, Seajo. You have touched the most critical aspect of the Rohingya crisis. Of course, we are in a context of identity politics, where identity of an ethnic group matter. And that's why Rohingya has been consistently saying we're Rohingya, call us Rohingya. And since last 3 years ago, National Unity Government, which I am part of, released a Rohingya policy in 2021 June that clearly indicates we are going to be abolishing 1982 citizenship law. That's contradict with the norms and values that we are preaching, not for the sake of Rohingya, but it's mentioned in the Rohingya policy, because it has been written with ulterior motive intention to discriminate some religious and ethnic minority, and it's written by General Ne Wing, whose action, everything that we see today goes against what we are preaching. So that's why, first reason, to eliminate this abolish 1982 citizenship law has been declared recently. National United Consultative Council, People's Assembly also took decisions to abolish that 1982 citizenship law. So the concept of the indigenousness wouldn't be connected to the political, social, and economical right that you will be enjoying in a new federal Burma. It will be solely based on the principles and values that highlighted in Federal Democracy Charter, Part 1 and both Part 2, when it's come to the individuals and collective right. So when the indigenousness, is it going to be disappearing? No, people are indigenous, and there would be ways that will promote the cultural literacy rights and things like that related to the indigenous people. And if Rohingya are one of those, they're one of those. And we are at this stage, it's not determining who is indigenous and who is not indigenous. At the same time, we are not taking the fact that General Ne Wing has, put us on the table. So the fact here is that, is it the right time to discuss those things? We're in the business of eliminating and destructing a system that has been sucking our bloods. It's the time, but at the same time, we're aware that there are things that we will not be able to carry on until the end, or until we liberate from the dictatorship. There are things that we need to start tackling, but are we really looking for the result right now? So to my view as a Rohingya, and also as a member of the government, we're in a critical junctions where we will have to deal with the priorities among many competing priorities. And our priorities should be ending the dictatorship, at the same time ensuring that everybody will feel that at the end of the day, we are talking about equality, justice, dignity for all and everyone. So that's the answer to your first question. Second, I think the fact that in the context of identity politics, particularly when it's come to Rakhine State, when you say that we are going to give you equal rights, and we say that in the second sentence, if we say that we are not going to be calling you the way that you want to be called, that's mean that initial statement that you have made saying that we will ensure your equal right is not valid anymore, because your fundamental right that you deserve is determined by the very identity that we are rejecting. And we are not in the near future dismantling all this identity politics that has been anchored in our society. Therefore, instead of arguing who is really indigenous and who is not indigenous at this stage, should not be our priority. Our priority should be looking into the values that we all are fighting for, whether it is, as long as it fits with inclusive federal democracy, that's the right thing to do at this stage. So therefore, I think it is rejecting an identity in this political given context is rejecting the equality. Thank you.
Other questions from the audience here?
Hello. I'd actually like to follow up on Siacho's question about the situation in Northern Rakhine. I want to know what you think that, or what you might think an Arakan army administration in Northern Rakhine could look like, because right now they're attacking the military base in Bulidang, and if they succeed, they'll control everything from the border from Bangladesh down to probably at least Myanmar Township, which is a lot of territory and where many of the Rohingya who live in Rakhine still are. Really troublingly, the AA hasn't toned down its Islamophobic rhetoric, it seems, and it also seems to have employed quite a bit of anti-Rohingya rhetoric, for example, referring to Rohingya as Bengalis. Is the NUG doing anything to reach out to the AA to attempt to moderate its views? Do you think the NUG could do anything to mediate? Is there any hope for an AA, for the Rohingya under an AA administration as appears likely?
It's a very, very complex question. The National Unity Government is a leading component of the revolutions that we are on. So our intention is to de-escalate things where everyone holds together, be ready to fight over the things that we don't like, but at the same time to be ready to fight over the things that we will like at the end of the revolutions. That's what we are trying to do. That's include engagement with multiple ethnic resistance organizations, including AA. Some of the things that we cannot disclose publicly for multiple reasons, but of course, at the same time that we do understand the right to information and access to information for the people. My point here is we do have connections to all armed groups that are fighting under the for the federal democracy that we all are yearning for. In the context of Rakhine State, you can see the junta has been losing 60% of the total Rakhine State, 60 to 70%. The remaining 30% is only downtown are under control. So in this context, Rohingya are being used as human shield because they are at loss in every aspect. They are direly net of human resource to go against a powerful, determined force, Arakan army. Therefore, they had to reach out to Rohingya community, protect yourself, protect your villages. And of course, these Rohingya who are in camp, like if you're 19 years old boy, you spent last 13 years among that 19 years in an open air prison. You don't know what is going on outside of your camp. And suddenly you are being given a weapon, a big gun, a uniform that you sometimes saw in some pictures. You're being sent after a week to a battlefield to die. And you will smile and you will laugh. And you don't know where you are going because you think it's a toy to play. The level of critical thinking skills and access to information has been so low that even you're on a way to be going to a cemetery to be dying, you're still smiling in some aspect because that's the reality. On the other hand, some Rohingya are being used as well for their individual benefits on the business. Those who has business and things like that, junta has been used to mobilize, or at least to make an effort to mobilize Rohingya to stand together with them. It's a small portion of the people. And either it's by compensation or by force. Therefore, blaming Rohingya to be taking a side of the military would be not the right thing to do, because there was no best alternative for Rohingya. If they deny, what would happen to them? Can they flee to Laja, Bamar? Can they go to? No, their movement restriction is there. Are you able to flee to Bangladesh? No, you are not able to, because the border is closed. So if we are saying, okay, don't join, stand on the right side of the history. And often the question that we get is, what is the best alternative that you are giving to us? We don't have one. So some Rohingya has joined. Just because some Rohingya has joined the military does not mean the whole Rohingya has to take collective responsibility of standing on the wrong side of history by certain. If it is the case, Burmese military are mostly composed of Bamar. Are we distinguishing those who are fighting for equality, justice on the democratic front line and the military themselves? They are Rakhine politicians who are, as of today, being deputy minister, being the state administrative council. Are we asking Rakhine community to take the collective responsibility? We are not. So while we are fighting for the right thing, we have to be firmly standing what is right always. And we cannot just take the stand what is politically convenient or militarily convenient for us, because it will be unethical in such a struggle. So Arakan Army as well we have been reportedly getting information from the ground that there are human rights violations by Arakan Army. And of course, the amount of information that come need to be verified, because often both Rakhine and Rohingya are not able to distinguish between the the crimes that's being committed against them and their hatred or political opinion over those things. I think we need to be able to put a very thick margin. Just because that we don't like Arakan Army doesn't mean that the human rights violation they have committed becomes suddenly so big if it is. At the same time, I think we need to also look into there are armed groups in Rakhine State, gang groups, I would say, rather than armed groups from the Rohingya community being utilized by the military to be fighting against. And this group has, again, caused some destruction, burning house. These are the reports that we were not independently able to verify. Houses of Rakhine, infrastructures of Rakhine communities. And of course, we stand equally for Rohingya, we stand for Rakhine. Every civilian's life and their property, their dignity matters. As a Rohingya, as a member of the National Unity Government, that's what we stand for, that's what we are fighting for. Not because they're Rohingya, not because they are Rakhine. So I think we need to put our emotions and anger, hatred aside and be mindful and wise not to fall into the trap of Burmese military to create ethnic and religious related tensions among the community, because that's what they want to see. If we are taking that directions, we are letting Myanmar line to determine whether we are able to go back home or when we are able to go. We should be the one deciding when we are going. Going back home, not Myanmar line. Therefore, to be able to wisely take this, not to react, rather respond with high critical and lateral thinking skill matter. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and switch into some questions that came in online in advance. So Professor Fiskeho, can you just ask some questions of our panel, and then we'll try, if we have time, to get to some of the online questions. But if we don't get to the online questions, we will make sure that the speakers get the questions, and we will try to shoot emails out to you with answers if we're able to. Thanks. Go ahead, Professor.
Thank you. For Evelyn Lin about the Karennis, there's a question that was sent in about the government that you described. How has the Karenni state managed to establish a representative interim administration so successfully ahead of other regions, ahead of the others? And also another question, it seems that Kenya and Kachin young people did not set up their own separate people's defense forces. They just joined KNU or KIO. But now in Karenni state, young people joined PDFs, even though there is a major Karenni revolutionary organization since several decades. Why is this the case?
Thank you. Good questions, but not perfect answer. We cannot say that our government structure is not successfully structured. We have a lot of argument. We still have, like, for example, of women's participation in the policy-making level. So we have arguments very big, we are still fighting, even though in the interim arrangement, we guarantee that there must be at least 30% women participation in every level. In reality, the women are very powerfully, involving in different sectors, like for the administration. Most of the men are holding gun and on the front line. Women are leading the community, the administration. All the services are mainly led by women. Women are everywhere. Women are in the policy making level, but in the structure at the top level, men are still occupying all the highest positions in Karenni, So we are also doing a lot of check and balance, and then very inclusiveness we are considering, and then there are so many people behind all the process, so we can say that we are not perfect yet, not successfully yet, but we are trying to be inclusive and acceptable. That's why we have a very short to the point constitutional arrangement. That arrangement, it is not sexy, it's a very little document that we can apply, flexibly, so that make us work fast. If we are arguing a lot on the very very perfect policy, we cannot easily implement it. This we really concerned about it. The policy need to be very easy to understand and easy to apply, so that make us to move forward the government structure. And then another questions about the young people, becoming local BDF in Karenni. Right now, we can see generally that women and youth are leading the big change in Karenni. So even in KSCC, we can imagine that youth women are occupying most of the seats. So that's make it very flexible and then willing to change, even though we have very strong and historical armed groups in Karenni state. Nowadays, youth has the right to choose, so that make us, very flexible, and we call ourselves that Karenni has very democracy environment. So everyone can come, but we need to follow the interim arrangement and FDC. So we only hold that the principle and the rule of, union level and state level. Whoever, Kachin, Kayin, Bamar, whoever want to come to Karenni. So we only look at the the Federal Democracy Charter and interim arrangement, who are not against those principles, we can live together. So this is one of the young generation's concept and acceptance of the diversity. That's why we make a very diverse community. Yes, inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now questions incoming for Nasser. May I? One question is a question about the recent National Unity Consultative Council, which held a People's Assembly that became like feuds between different stakeholders. Why was that? Is the question. Another question, there are in Karen State some Chinese scam syndicates. How has their presence affected a Karen resistance organization and the resistance movement?
Thank you. Before I answer the NUCC question, the answer will not be represent the whole NUCC, but as NUCC council member and also as my perspective. So I also agreed that people see there's some how to say like not really progress and then not really how to say fruit assembly. So but we had pros and cons as well. So we have learned a lot procedure or any mandate or any thing that we have to discuss in the People Assembly that we will have to make a better in the future. This morning we have done reviewed of the People Assembly as well. It also we learn a lot, then shame the people and also make people lack of trust on the NUCC as a political body, political stakeholder. But we also come out with the positive as well, that we come out with a result, some result that include abolish the 82 law that exclude the Rohingya and even the Muslim religion or any other religions and other as well. And that also we have to come out with the most practical strategy to build the trust between people and even resistance movement in the future as well. And that also we also agreed that our weaknesses in the that happened in the People Assemblies include the press conference as well. So we're going to find out the solution for the future to make better, and also build the trust, especially the people that support NUCC, and also the groups that still engage with the NUCC. Actually, we had a decision and we offer the groups, even the new organization or new groups that are willing to join with the NUCC, they can. We also welcomed, but we need to have a system, metrically procedure, how we accept it and review and come out with the new members in the NUCC. So this is what I can answer regarding the NUCC. So the second question, so I would like to invite my colleague here. He is the most focuses on the issue of the Chinese scammer in the current state. So go Alex. So if you can answer the question, she recently doing interviews regard on the issue as well. Please.
I just speak from here. Oh, I'm not supposed to be the speaker today, but to answer the question directly, these Chinese syndicates is really destroying the communities in Grand State, and land grabbing, trafficking, destroy local economy, and you name it, all the illegal stuff are there. And the worst part is that it has affect the revolutionary that we have been fighting for. We all know that they have, enter through the Korean border guard force. They have agreement and that they run the scams in that area. There are two big major complexes. One is called Shwekoko, the other one is the KK Park. And both of them have, generate millions, almost 200 millions according to USIP report. Again, the money has really corrupt, the leaders of the ethnic groups. And there's been also, evidence, but not enough to prove that some of the resistant leaders also involved in that. But, that is very challenging when it comes to, taking over the, the military post of the SAC. So the recent, if you notice, for those who follow the news, if you notice the recent takeover of the Myanmar, the border city of Thailand and Burma, I mean, the city is the second, I think the second biggest trade borders after Muse. And, the first 2-3 days, the revolutionary forces took over, the city, and after 3 days, they have to withdraw. It was because the BGFs interfere into the takeover, and the behind is the the Burma military sort of pressuring the BGF. Of course, they will bomb this casino complex, the online scamming complexes that they have run and generate millions of money. So we need to eradicate or eliminate or abolish that. And that again, KNU has promised that they are going to eradicate those illegal gamblings or gamblings, trafficking, everything on the border. But it's going to be very challenging because, again, the takeover of the border city, especially Myanmar and the border areas, because BGF has position is as one of the biggest, I think after KNU, the biggest armed groups in Karen State. So it's really difficult. It's very challenging for KNU as well to take over the city, the border areas without the support of BGF. So that is a very challenging, and we still have to wait and see, what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to add a little bit that regard on the even not Chinese, other investor or whoever come and invest the economy or business in the current state. As we current civil society, we gather it and together call or urge or ask the leadership of the KNU. Last year, we asked to step down, but they come out with a new Congress, so come out with a new leadership. So it a little bit have a change of the new leadership, so that we see it, we have to continue to do investigation of any investment that committed the crimes in the current state as well. So this is also one of the action that we as a civil society stay keeping pushing of this that KNU has to take responsibility on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. A question for Zotomung. There are several questions about the absence of unity among all the Chin resistance groups. And one question says, collective Chin identity has always been weaker than tribal identities among different Chin tribes. How has the anti-military resistance affected the emergence of a collective Chin identity?
There are, I think, about 17 or 18 Chin defense, Chinland Defense Force, CDFs. Why? There are 17 or 18. After the Tamato took power in 2021, the Chin University student, the youth, protested against the coup in Chin State, of course, starting in the capital Hakka, and then all over Chin State, 9 townships. I'm so proud to say this because the youth, university students, college students led those protests. I think in Hakka and Tantlang, about 90% went to CDMRs. So what happened? Then the youth went to underground. So the way that they protested, Hakka, Falam, towns by township, Mindat, Matupi, Kampale. So they went to underground. So in each township, they established CDF. CDF Hakka, CDF Falam, CDF Matupi, CDF Mindat. That's where we have several CDFs, which is good, really, really good. And then here in the US, there are about 70,000 Chins here in the US. The youth are quite active in terms of fundraising, supporting the youth over there. So the way that they raise fund is, here is like online, okay, talk show, donating. So they are well connected each other. So it doesn't mean that they are really divided in terms of ideology or concept. I like to watch football, not football, actually we'll call it soccer. Okay, I really like Man City. Okay, previously I really like Manju. Okay, I like Opa. So he's a midfielder, but he's no longer there. So Man City, they play as a team. Okay, they are really a team player. So I really like that. So again, it's not about Hakka versus Falam or Matupi, but it's about the team. Okay, the team, and they work together. Actually, they work together. They cooperate together. As for example, even last week they dropped drones in Hakka. Okay, Hakka CDF, Tantlang CDF, Laudu CDF. They cooperated each other. But I think this question came, I guess, maybe that they heard about ICNCC, maybe, and then the Chinland Council. Okay, so it appears, of course, there are 2 groups: the Chinland Council and then ICNCC, the brothers. And I see it as just a family matter. Okay. They wanted to fight together. They know, they understand that they have common issues. And this is not about the tribal issues or other issues at all. So the issue is how to fight together. So I think this is just a family issue. You know, I have five kids, okay? I have 5 kids, and I have been away from home about 3 weeks. And when I came back, I talked to my son and my daughters. We need to spend some time together for the summer. And then I said, oh, vacation? Oh, yes, okay. And then we live in Maryland. And my son said, you know what? I would like to go to Ocean City. And then, okay, that's okay. And then he also would like to bring his friends. And I asked how many friends. He said 3, and then he said 4. And then, you know what? I really would like to. His mom said, we really would like to have family vacations. So and then I said, okay, let me go to Cornell University. And then when I come back, we'll continue our discussion. So we agree to spend together to have a summer vacation. Okay, but we have not agreed yet where we're going to go and how we're going to spend time together. So I think this is just a family issue. And I talked to both sides when I was staying in the border area. And the communication is ongoing. And this is not about a conflict. This is just about a disagreement.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one last question, which is open to any one of you, but it seems very pertinent. One question wants to know, how soon will peace and democracy come to Myanmar?
Tonight.
The person would like to know a date, a time. How soon?
It depends how soon we want. That means that there are works that need to be done at the individual level. It's the degree of certainty is so high, at the same time degree of uncertainty could be questioned. You could recently, perhaps you saw the New York Times front page with illustrations, who controls what. And Burmese junta military is at its last stage of breath. If we are able to be resilient, put energy, put resource that we need to put, that breath could be tomorrow or next year. It's we, as I mentioned, like we are the one who is going to be determined. When are we going to be going back home with dignity and live peacefully? Not Myung Lang himself decide when we go back. Therefore, your support, like our energy to hold together, is so important. The support that we give to the every ethnic resistance organizations, past the National Unity Government and UCC and others, is so important in order to determine that hour or that day. So ultimately, in a nutshell, it's us. And in a set of question to anyone else, we will answer to ourselves when it is going to be.
Yes, Yama.
Yeah, very good questions. For example, currently, aiming that the end of 2024, we will occupy all the military bases in Ukraine, but we can do that alone. Even though the strongest one is the resilience of the civilian, that we have it, So I would like to ask the international community how you can help us to get the vision that we have. So like example, we are fighting against the dictatorship that all around the world hate it. International community stand with us on the paper, on the online, we sympathy, we are against the action of the military, and then on the ground level, we are really fighting, we are giving our life, and then we need a lot of support, even the food supply that we have shortage, but we still have the resilience because we hate the dictatorship. We are on the front line fighting, and then we stop to ask the international community help us. We do not have any military equipment right now. We are looking for the international community. And then on the other hand, we need to find, things to feed the people in the jungle. This is our life, so there are so many things that to saying that save Myanmar, save for the democracy movement. But in reality, even the US People's Aids, they have decided every year, all the procedure, they make that emergency support, emergency relief, but it took about 3 or 6 months to make the assessment how to support the people in current state. So I mean that we really need to be engaged with the international community and the people in Burma. And then the right support need to be in our hand, So if we are very collaborated with the international community, we cannot do that alone because you see, Bamar is surrounded by India and China. So we need a lot of the international community support for the democracy restoration in Burma. So I really want to say back that we really need the concrete help from the international community, and that if we combine that, it's very soon. Our future is very soon. Thank you. Thank you.
For me, from my perspective, actually, our colleague Jomo already mentioned, it's not only the stakeholder inside Burma responsibility to bring democracy everywhere, wherever they live. So even you are people of Burma or not, your solidarity support is really important to bring peace, justice, and democracy in Burma. The main that I would like to mention here, actually, Evelyn already mentioned a little bit the roles of the international. So for us, we have been struggle more than 7 decades to fight for to end the military dictatorship and to bring peace and democracy or federalism in Burma. Still fighting, and then we lost a lot of young people life already, and also we lost everything right now. But we still have our resilient commitment and keep going, and that also we also really appreciate, especially this time's military coup. Our diaspora in different countries have been support a lot. And I really, really appreciate them. They still keep their supporting, either financially or energy that they have. So when we have seen the roles of international, they made a lot of wrong support. Give you example regard on the humanitarian aid. So actually, we call the practical assistance through cross-border aid or directly to the people deeply inside Burma. But most of the support are funded through to the military junta and through to the ASEAN. Money, a loss of 100 million, more than 100 million of the money through to there. And that not reach to the people that deeply inside Burma. This is one example that we have seen. And then another thing that more than 7 decades, we we always show the evidence that military junta committed the war crime, crime against humanity and genocide. That's enough for us. That's enough evidence. So we don't know how to give more evidence, and that also we have seen and learned from the Rohingya a community case already in ICJ, but nothing affected decision yet. So still in the process, it's already over 3 years, right? But we want the international community to take their roles without individual interests, come with the common interests. So actually the crimes that military junta committed right now, it commit the international law. It commit the international crimes. So that international should take their role and responsibility. So if they take this road, so we at least come out with our internal solution of the political crisis. So now we have to struggle all the things, all the next crisis issue. We will have to advocate and lobby international, do that, and they ask for help. The other side also, we have to struggle our own internal, fight armed struggle, and also service, service provided for the people that fleed. So all the things that we have to take our own responsibility. So for me, I really want to see it. That's already several decades that international need to take their role and responsibility effectively to punish and to reach the justice and accountability for the people that have been faced and be victim. Thank you.
Oh, we have more commentary. Go ahead.
I'm really optimistic because I'm really encouraged by seeing the picture of NUG Defense Minister with the Kachins.
Next to your mouth.
Okay. Okay. So I think I'm really encouraged by the level of cooperations between PDF and EROs. Okay. So that's where I'm really optimistic. We're going to defeat. We're going to defeat. And again, it depends on the level of cooperations and coordinations among the EROs and especially the EROs and I think the PDFs on the other hand, NUG. We have never seen, no, I have never seen things like these days, for example, in the north, okay? The north of Burma, and then now in the Kachin state, they occupy several posts, and then going down to Granny state, okay, and then now in the south, Karen, and then the west now the Arakan army. And so where are they now? The Tamador? I think they are now only in Nebido, Yangon, and then Mandalay. So these forces are, the forces have surrounded, and I don't see where they're going to escape, where they're going to flee. So the SAC are already in those territories. So I think there will be more cooperations among the PDF and EROs, and I don't think that they will be able to escape. So of course, international pressures and others are also, of course, important. But to me, the cooperations between EROs and then PDFs and UG are really, really encouraging. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing for 1 second. I think international community again did not support to the level that we deserve. Why international community should support us? Because it's an moral obligations for international community to save 50+ million people from crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide. There is no other benchmark required to be responding to such catastrophic situations. Until now, what we got mostly letter of contempt, letter of concern. And apparently the junta itself became the main source of support for us. We started this revolution with the sticks and sword. And today, the level of territory that we were able to, we did not choose this path. Young people, morals, actresses who are in the forest today, were peacefully protesting ones on the street. Came to understand we need to speak the language in a way that the junta understand. That's only way to liberty, freedom, and dignity for all. Therefore, you have a right to play, to talk to your local constituency, your lawmakers, to push, to do the right thing. We are in the race of autocracy and democracy. Autocrat does not need to do those advocacies to go and ask for support. We have been consistently asking for our Democrat, liberal friends across the world, but we did not get the support to the level. Junta apparently is getting from the country that they are being supported, like Russia and some of our neighbors. So it's shameful for international community to be an ideal status in a context of call for moral action. So thank you.
So thank you so much. I know we're over the time that we originally set, but just kind of a word of conclusion. I feel like these last few questions and answers and statements really shows us that this is not just an academic exercise or set of issues, that we're looking at, but something that's actually incredibly historic. It's not very often that you see a group of people trying to chart the future of a nation and to figure out from the bottom up how they want that to be structured, how they want to define membership and divisions of labor within that. So it's quite amazing to watch the process through your eyes and to understand some of the factors that are going on. But I love that towards the end, we really got to the point where in order to keep moving forward with these debates and conversations and trying to figure out the structure of the new nation, the people who are involved in that process really have to be constantly focusing on the fact that the glass is at least half full, if not more than half full, because that is what's required to continue to put the energy in and to continue to demand that people across the world pay attention to that. I want to insert my own last question, but I don't want an answer. It's one that I've been wondering about, and it echoes some of the things that were coming in on the chat, which, have to do with some of the responses you're giving now. Like if the military, if the Tamadal was to be defeated tomorrow, would you be ready? Would NUG or, the ethnic groups be ready to run the country? And my question is similar, and it has to do with what are the big challenges facing all of these different groups trying to come together. Is it a question of trying to build a unified structure and have a ready to go path forward if military victory were to come and you were to gain control of Naypyidaw or Yangon or Mandalay? And I guess my wonder looking, at world history is, can that be done without a few charismatic leaders or not? Is there a George Washington or a Nelson Mandela or somebody around whom those who don't think in terms of parliamentary politics and constitutions and organizations, who are the common people and the people in the international community going to look to as a symbol of that unity? And do you need that for it to succeed or not? So I'll just leave that as a hanging question, because it seems to me like that is something that's a little bit behind some of these questions. It's important and really powerful to bring everybody in from the bottom up, but in terms of how you face the outside world and also get people who are less politically involved to understand who they're following, what they're following. How do you do that? How do you bring that sense of unity together other than in just the name NUG? And so I want to kind of conclude on that comment, but also be hopeful that whoever that might be that emerges, even if they have some military role, that they also are not the kind of military leader, if that is who emerges, who wants to hold on to that power. And I think that is at the heart of some of these questions about kind of the degree to which some of the organizations are operating autocratically, or in terms of military might and the financial might that's associated with the kinds of things happening on the border that bring in so much money, whether it be gambling or drugs or different kinds of trafficking. So that's where I think the comment about natural resources and the control of the financial reins of power is hugely important as well. So again, thank you all for an amazing panel. I think we've all learned a lot, and I hope that you're able to stick around and answer people's individual questions as we finish up the snacks. And we'll share with you the questions from the chat in case you would like to respond by email. So thank you. A big round of applause for everyone.